Hey, welcome to Smoking Eagle's Rod Shop, and in today's video we're going to be working on my second gen Camaro. Now, I'm blocking the doors down behind camera here, and before I get those done, I want to get these holes filled on the body on both sides so that as soon as those doors are done, I can jump right over here to the car and start blocking this bad boy down. Now, why are these holes here? Well, this car was originally a Berlinetta and it had door guards on it. Yeah, so if you went to the Walmart or grocery store or whatever and grandma opens her door, bangs it on the side of your Camaro, doesn't put a dent in your sweet ride. I kind of like the sleek, clean look better, so we're not going to be putting those back on the car. Now, there's a couple of options you have for filling these holes. Typically, you would take a MIG welder and you would just MIG weld these holes shut. Now, that would work great, but you kind of got to have bare metal to do that, or we would have to remove all this paint and primer back far enough that the heat from the welder doesn't separate the paint from the metal, causing us problems down the road. I've seen cars like that. You've probably seen cars like that where they weren't either prepped properly and the paint starts bubbling off, or they had excessive heat. It screwed up the adhesion process there. Later on, it's bubbling up. It's actually the paint underneath the paint that you see that is the problem. This is an epoxy sealer, so I don't want to remove any of this. I want to leave it on here. The other option that a lot of guys do is they just slap some Bondo on there. You can just slap some filler on here, fill these holes up, reach in here to the backside, put some filler on the backside. Now you've got it on both sides with the hole through the center, and that would work. It could crack, it could sink in a little bit. Probably not going to happen. You're probably never going to see it, and it would probably work just fine. Guys have been doing that for 100 years now. But I have a little bit different solution here that we're going to do today. I'll go over it real quick, and then we'll get right into it. I've got what they call a Lord's fastener, also known as a self-tapper. I've also got some Pour 15 pour patch. Now, you could go to your regular part store and get some epoxy sealer of any kind or glue, and it would work just fine. I've used this stuff for many years, and this stuff is awesome. I've used it from fixing cracked blocks to fixing radiators to gluing concrete together. This stuff is forever. It's designed for automotive, but like I said, you can use it for just about anything. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these self-tappers, because we can get to the back side of this. We're going to screw them in from the back side. The end of them is going to stick out just a little bit. We're going to take our die grinder, and we're going to very, very carefully, without putting too much heat in there and without hitting our epoxy primer, we're going to boop, 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 bump that baby down, and then we'll just finish it up with a hand sander so that we get that nice and flush, and then we can just take a little skim coat of filler and right over top of that, because we are going to have to put another coat of primer on this after we block it down. So that's not going to affect that at all. Yeah, so let's get right into it. The first thing I need to do is I need to shorten this baby up, because we want to put as little heat down through here as possible. So I'm going to go over to the old sander with some pliers, you know, and give her the All right, so we're back from the sander, and I got 4 screws here, and one of them is a little bit larger because this back hole, for whatever reason, is just a little bit bigger. And I had to burr around the outside edge of them, so we should be able to take our little stubby screwdriver and make sure they fit without dropping them way down inside the quarter panel. As you can see, this one goes right in and snugs up. And I'm not going to over tighten this, because we're going to put a little bit of Pour 15 on there, then we'll snug it up and we'll let that sit. I think it's 4 to 6 hours, and then 96 hours for a full cure. Then we'll just bump that down off of there. So that one fits. Take it back out, set it off to the side, and try our bigger one. Make sure it fits. There's that one. Here's our larger one. Hopefully it fits. Oop, there she is. I don't have as much room to get to this hole from the back side. We may have to screw this one in from the outside first. Kind of put some threads in that metal. There we go. Now she ought to screw in there. Perfect. Okay, so we got both our screws. They both fit. So I'm going to put some gloves on because this Port 15 is a little gross. And it don't come off with soap or water or sandpaper or lacquer thinner or gasoline. The stuff is permanent. They ain't lying. Got a little bit of alcohol on a rag here. We're going to wipe off the back side of our holes. Just make sure our Port 15 will stick really well. And I've sprayed in here with some sealer on the inside, the inner frame coating stuff, I think from Eastwood. I sprayed all up inside here, down in here, everything. This car is really, really good shape for being a northern Indiana car. As far as the rust goes, it was just on the doors, which is typical. The front lower quarter panels, or front lower fenders, and then one little patch on each side right in here. And I mean, those patches were only about that long and about that tall. And when I did that, I cut that out and I sprayed all up inside there. So that's all coated really well. Anyway, with that alcohol, wipe that off good. See if we can get this baby to open. That's always the struggle with this. So I got it all over our screw. Now I'm going to try and get it in there and get it screwed in, and then we'll put a dab of this stuff on the back side so the screw's completely covered. Okay. Found our hole. Nice and tight. Put a little more on the head of that screw. Oh yeah. Perfect. Now we'll do this front one. Get our goop on it. My flashlight so I can see my screw. Okay, there she be. All right, so here we are on the other side of the car. Same deal. I got my hole here, got my 2 screws, and I'm just gonna pour 15 out again. Put a good little glob of it on here. The more the better. Oh, it's on my finger. There it is. Nice and tight. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that. That one actually grabbed that part of that where they seam these two together, and this hole's a little bit further forward. That's good and tight. That's not going anywhere. All right, so I'll shove you guys back in there and you can see what the backs of the screws look like. Get this light in there. There's one screw. Ugh, I believe you can see the other one there. Yep, so there's that one, there's that one. I'm gonna let that stuff dry overnight, then I'll meet you guys back out here and we will sand these babies down. All right, so we're back. It's the next day. This stuff is nice and hard and dry. Now, it says full cure up to 96 hours. It's been 24. We're gonna grind this down flush, and of course that on the backside will continue to just get hard. So the way we're gonna do this, we're going to take a little bit of painter's tape and we're going to put it around our screws. Just like so. Just like that. We'll do the back one. Now, you may be going, hey Dustin, why are we doing this? Well, the reason we're putting tape around here is for a couple of reasons. One, we don't want to hit this primer. We are going to hit it, but we don't want to hit way out here and dig grooves in it that we're going to have to fill with filler. We're going to have filler right around these holes, and we want to obviously keep it to a minimum, right? So right now we're just trying to knock down most of this screw, and we'll bump the tape and not the panel, and we'll know to stop. We're also going to take our time. We're going to go slow. We don't want to put a bunch of heat into these bolts, this panel, screws, whatever you want to call them. Now I got a pneumatic die grinder with just a little flap wheel on here. If you don't have one of these, you could use a small hand file. You could use a flap disc and just do it by hand and just work it down. Because again, you're not trying to rush this. You want to take your time, and you don't want to put heat into the panel or this screw. So I'm going to do this real time for you guys so you see exactly how long it takes. Doesn't take forever. Yeah, you could just hog it off of there in 2 seconds, but you're going to put heat in this panel, and that is what we are trying to avoid. So I'm going to go about that much. If you can't touch it, she's way too hot. So I can touch that just fine. I'm going to come back here. Work on it a little bit. Give it a second. You see me slip off there just a little bit, and I nicked that tape. That's why we got that tape there. I'm not putting hardly any pressure on this. I'm letting the paper do all the work. Oh, I hit my tape. So I'm gonna put another piece of tape on it. Just trying to keep that body panel protected until we get these down close to flush. This one's actually getting pretty close already. This one's quite a ways away. If you push too hard with these flat discs, they kind of work their way around the screw, and that's why you bump the tape. And that's why we have the tape there. So we want to go nice and slow. See that? I can still touch it. Take your time. Body work is not a race. Getting down pretty close. Now we are going to hit the tape right around this screw, but we're trying to protect out around it. Then we're going to pull the tape off and we'll grind them down so that they're nice and flat. And then, yeah, we'll just keep going from there. That one's getting close. That one's real close. All right, so now I'm going to pull the tape off of here and see what we got. Okay, so you can see where we're at here. Now I'm going to focus just on the screw because even though it's below the surface of this primer, we've got 4 or 5 layers of paint on here, and there's a pretty steep ledge right here. So I'm going to work this screw down just a little more right here in this area, and then we'll get a DA and we'll feather this out just a little bit, and then it'll be ready for filler when it comes time to fill that. I am going to block sand this first because I'm going to have to put primer over the whole car. So when I start block sanding the whole car, when I get to this area, then I'll put a little bit of filler on here. We'll focus on this area, and then we'll reprime the whole car, and it'll be like this never happened. It feels pretty good. Almost. Feel a little bit of a bump. Perfect. It's nice and smooth. I might be able to feel that one just ever so slightly. Perfect. So now there's a pretty good ridge all the way around here. So what we'll do is we'll get a DA and we'll feather that out just a little bit right around here and right around here with, I don't know, like some 220 or something. Feather that out a little bit, and then when we put filler on there, the filler will go back like, and we'll feather that all in and block it down, block it down, block it down, block it down, block it down. It ain't a race, right? It'll be nice. It'll be straight. I'm going to go do the other side, and then I'll give you guys a close-up of what we got here. All right, this is what we ended up with over here. As you can see, it's nice and smooth. A little bit of filler, just a little skim coat. We'll hide those. Like I said, I'll feather this out a little bit just to kind of taper that back good. And then we'll fill that in. We'll block it down. It's right on this body line, so I was trying not to get into that body line. I did get into it just ever so slightly right there, but that won't be a problem. And then the other side, which you guys just saw us finish up. It's right here. And that is going to be very easy to fix. I think the next thing we're going to do to the Camaro is clean out the trunk. I need to paint all this black in here. So yeah, so then we can keep continuing on block sanding, doing all the fun stuff on the outside of the body. I don't want to have to try and paint that after the outside of the car is done and super shiny. And then you got overspray issues and everything else. Might as well spray this all black now, and then I can just throw a blanket in there or something to kind of protect it. From the factory, these are blue back in here, so when we spray the trunk area, we'll just spray it and make it all look just like they did from the factory, and it'll be good. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about my little hole plug job there in the comments below. Do you have a better way to do this without a welder? Would you have just slapped the Bondo on there and let it seep through the holes like guys have been doing for 50 years? I don't know. Like I said, let me know in the comments below. Remember, we got a Facebook group over on Facebook, so jump over there, show us the project that you're working on. Like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends. We've got merch available on our website. And we have a membership program here on YouTube for just a few dollars a month. That helps me bring you guys these videos. I've got some block sanding to do here in the background, so I'm going to post some other videos of things I'm doing in the shop around my melon here. And yeah, until next time, guys, keep on wrenching. Peace.